Chapter 4 The Shepherd and the Journey.
When M went to live with his uncle, he did not sit idle. Though his uncle was a respected leader of their tribe, the family was not rich. There were many mouths to feed. M, like many young boys of Makkah, found work as a shepherd. He tended sheep for the people of the city, leading them to graze on the hills surrounding Makkah. The work was simple and quiet. Day after day, M watched over the flock. He learned which grasslands were greenest. He learned where to find water. He learned how to protect the weak animals from predators. But more than that, shepherding taught M something deeper. He learned patience. A shepherd cannot rush. He learned responsibility. A sheep that wanders off must be brought back. He learned mercy. A lame animal cannot be forced to walk faster than it can. Those lonely years on the hills of Makkah shaped him. He had time to think, time to watch the sky, time to wonder about the world and why it was the way it was. When M was 12 years old, his uncle decided to join a trading caravan traveling to a distant land called Syria. This was a long and dangerous journey across hundreds of miles of desert. Merchants from all over Arabia gathered in these caravans, hoping to sell their goods in the markets of Syrian cities like Busra. M asked his uncle if he could come. Uncle hesitated. The journey was long and hard. M was still a boy. But he saw the eagerness in his nephew's eyes and agreed. They packed their camels with goods from Makkah, leather, dried dates, and fine cloth. They joined a large caravan with hundreds of camels and many merchants. The caravan set out northward across the vast empty desert. For weeks they travelled. The sun burned during the day, the cold bit at night. M watched everything. He watched how the merchants traded. He watched how they settled disputes. He watched how the stars guided them across the featureless sand. At last, they reached the city of Busra in southern Syria. The markets were unlike anything M had ever seen. Merchants from Rome, Persia, and Ethiopia sold their wares. Languages from a dozen lands filled the air. Near Busra, there was a monastery where a monk lived. The monk was a wise old man who had spent his life studying ancient scriptures. He had read in those scriptures about a great person who would appear in Arabia. Signs would mark his arrival, a seal between his shoulders, and trees and stones that would bow down to him. When the monk saw the caravan approaching from Makkah, he noticed something strange. A small cloud followed one particular traveller, shading him from the sun. When the traveller stopped under a tree, the branches of the tree bent down to cover him. The monk invited the entire caravan to a meal. At first, only the leaders came. Monk looked at each face and asked, "Is everyone here?" "No," someone said. "There is a boy left with the camels." "Send for him," Monk said. When M arrived, Monk studied him carefully. He asked him questions about his dreams, his thoughts, and his life. Then he asked to see his back. Monk saw the mark he had read about in the scriptures, a seal between M's shoulders. His eyes filled with tears. "He is the one I have read in the scriptures," Monk told M's uncle quietly. "Take him back to Makkah immediately. Do not let him continue to Syria. If other people recognize him, as I have, they will harm him." M's uncle was confused but alarmed. He cut his trading journey short and brought M back to Makkah. M never forgot that journey. He had seen the world beyond the desert. He had met a wise man who spoke of him as if he were someone important, and he had returned home safely, protected by his uncle's love. But he did not stop being a shepherd. When they returned to Makkah, M went back to the hills with his sheep. The quiet work, the open sky, the patient care of helpless animals. These were the things that prepared him for what was to come.